Hey everybody, Jason Leisure and Joe Schad here. We are back in Davie. Joe, we haven't been in Davie a lot during the offseason.
And we're wearing sports coats.
Yeah, right. Aren't you guys impressed? We're like grown-ups.
Some of the other media boys had shorts and flip-flops, but we have sports coats.
We're adults.
It worked out
So are you,
well.
even though you're probably at work right now while you're watching this. Thank you for joining us. We were here in Davie today to talk to Mike Tannenbaum and Chris Greer. I always want to call him Mike Greer. Isn't his brother Mike Greer the former hockey player?
That's right.
Chris Greer, Mike Tannenbaum, talking NFL draft. The Dolphins kind of not talking NFL draft. We can tell you a little bit about what's going on here, though, as they get ready for the draft, which is a week from tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, Saturday of next week. Joe, bring us up to speed on what they're doing today. What do you think they're doing up in the office based on what they told us?
I asked Chris Greer, the general manager, I said, if I went into your office and looked at your big board, how many names would be on there? And he said that they're actually a little bit deeper with more players than they would usually have at this point in time. 140 to 150 players on the Miami Dolphins NFL draft big board. And I think that that's interesting because that basically takes you 4 or 5 rounds into a 7-round draft. And I think that what would happen is that the players that are available in the very end of the rounds would still be on that board. In other words, you don't need to rank 30 times 7, 210 players. It's really not necessary to rank that many players. Greer said basically the draft board is set. There is an opportunity in these conversations with Adam Gase, Mike Tannenbaum, Chris Greer, the scouting staff, conversations with college coaches, some information that's still coming in on backgrounds that the security guys here at Dolphins camp. I wonder if they did security checks on us.
I hope to God our company did on
you.
you.
Very thorough and very extensive, the Miami Dolphins security team. So there's still a chance to move guys up here or there.
But nothing major, he said, right?
That was
It'll just
interesting.
be little tweaks, little, minor arguments.
And you remember last year when the draft was over, the Dolphins revealed that Laramie Tunsil was number 2 on their draft board, and that Leonte Carew was their second highest rated wide receiver, which they maybe wouldn't have wanted to let out in retrospect.
Tunsil had to have been that high on a lot of people's draft boards. He was a possible number 1. I'm sure you guys remember last year the Dolphins traded down from 8 to 13. Tunsil improbably falls from being a potential number 1 all the way down to 13. You wrote about that last week. We got to put that story back up on Facebook this week because it was a really good story you did during the season, kind of evaluating that trade where they move down 5 spots and they get Kiko Alonso and Byron Maxwell, 2 starters.
Kiko Alonso said, "What do I think of the trade? It was a hell of a trade."
Well, he upgraded from living in Buffalo to living in Miami, so
he's happy.
One thing, a couple little details that we got out of that as far as the process is concerned. So they have everybody on their board right now. They are evaluating some character concerns that might take guys off their board. But we've gotten the impression, we've talked to Adam Gase about this, we talked to Chris Greer about it today. They're going to do this on a case-by-case basis. They don't have automatic rule-outs. They don't say, well, anybody that's got this type of offense in their history is off our board. And Gase told us back in Phoenix a couple weeks ago that, I believe it was in Phoenix, that they don't rule out a lot of guys for character issues in general. There aren't a lot of those. They rule out more guys because of injury concerns.
Hit a girl, I don't think you're going to be a part of the Miami Dolphins organization. That's
probably
my
not.
opinion.
No, probably not. They had an opportunity to say that very clearly today, and they didn't, though.
Yeah, you want to, the things they say publicly versus the things they say privately, that's always going to be a little bit of a difference. You might not want to say something publicly because then it could be used against you
sure, of course.
by the media folks. But, smoke marijuana with a gas mask, that's okay.
That just shows creativity. Let's talk about what picks they actually have. It's not a great set of picks overall, Joe. They've got 7 picks, but it's not evenly distributed. They've got their first round and their second round, so 22nd and 54th. Then they're going to wait all the way to the end of the 3rd at 97 for a compensatory pick. Then after that, Joe, they're going to wait. I don't remember what number it was, but they got to wait. They have no 4th-round pick, no actual 5th-round pick, and then they have 3 picks that are compensatory at the end of the 5th. So they've really got 3 good picks, and then they've got the rest of them are very late.
Now, Chris Greer, just so you guys know, I wrote an article about this that appeared last Sunday. You can find it on the Daily Dolphin blog.
Oh, this is good too. Yeah.
He's the general manager, so he has final say on the draft choice selection. So if the Dolphins get to 22 and they're on the clock, they will talk about the 3 or 4 guys that they think they should take, but it's Chris Greer's choice, even though Chris Greer reports to Mike Tannenbaum. It sure sounds like Mike Tannenbaum is the guy who is going to be working the phones offering up to the room possible opportunities to move up and down. And if you look at trader Mike Tannenbaum's draft history, especially with the New York Jets, he almost always goes up or down. So in my opinion,
traded last year.
In my opinion, the Dolphins are going to move up for a defensive end, linebacker, or guard, or move back if they feel that there's not an upper echelon tier 1 player from that position group available at 22, and then they can move back and consider what I think would be their tier 2 needs, which includes safety, corner, and center, and defensive tackle. So that would be what I think about. Now, the Dolphins didn't give away any hints today.
No, of course
but
not.
I did ask Chris Greer, what, in your opinion, are the 3 position groups with the greatest depth? Now,
in the draft class.
Yeah, in the whole
not
draft
on the
class.
Team. Right.
Now, this doesn't mean the Dolphins are going to take a person at this position group in round 1, but it does give you an indication that they feel that they can get a good player in rounds 2, 3, 5.
Right.
You just explained that they don't have picks in the 4th and 5th, right?
Correct.
Okay.
They have 5th round compensatory, which is
I'll
very
make
late.
a little prediction now. Tannenbaum finds a way to get back up into the 4th or 5th because the Dolphins know they need depth.
How are they going to do that, though? Because they don't
give up-
They'd have
so
to give up next future picks.
You give up a future
Gosh,
3
they want to do
for a
that? They're not
4.
really loaded with picks going
If you look at
forward.
what Tannenbaum has done throughout his career, you sacrifice the future. And the Dolphins are not win-now mode, but in the same way they moved up for Leonte Carew last year, because there was a lot of excitement. It was reported that Adam Gase loved Leonte Carew. I think that they would aggressively pursue such a trade this year as well.
We got some comments in here, Joe, if I
Yeah.
can try to scroll back. Somebody asked about, Paul Witt asked if you think they have the ammo to move up in the first round, which is kind of what we were just discussing. I don't think so.
Well, who would
unless they want to start selling off
Yeah.
important picks of next year.
I think 22 is a nice spot when you look at the cluster of
There should be
picks.
guys that fit
Yeah.
them available.
When you
around
look
there.
at the mock drafts, I didn't finish the thought about the 3 position groups. So Chris Greer said the 3 deepest talented position groups are running back, not a need for the Miami Dolphins, rush end, very big need for the Miami Dolphins, and safety. So what I'm going to predict is
Very
that
big need.
in the 1st or 2nd round, in my opinion, there is a 90% chance that the Dolphins take a rush edge player, whether that's most likely at the defensive end position or perhaps at the linebacker position. Some of these guys that can play outside linebacker or pass rush defensive end, especially on 3rd down. Very interesting. Dolphins brought up how defensive coordinator Matt Burke, this will be the 3rd story I write on Daily Dolphin, because I thought it was interesting later today. There are some smaller defensive ends, like Tack McKinley of UCLA, Charles Harris of Missouri.
Guys that could possibly be outside.
Who could be outside
linebackers.
Hassan Reddick of Temple. And what the Dolphins basically said today is, in conversations with our defensive coordinator, especially the new one, Matt Burke, we feel that there's a potential place for using these guys. So don't think that the Dolphins are only interested in taller, heavier, run defense-oriented ends. They might also be interested in one of these smaller, speedy rush guys.
Yeah. Let's talk about needs, Joe. You kind of were hinting toward this, but if you were to look at what they need to address, like with that first-round pick, for example, in a perfect world, what position player would be available to them at that spot? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think a defensive end.
You'd be hoping for a defensive end
Who's
in that
complete player, who can rush the passer and is sturdy enough to hold up against the run. A guy like Derek Barnett of Tennessee, or Taco Charlton of Michigan,
right.
or maybe Jordan Willis of Kansas State. That would be the ideal first-round choice. I also think that if Forrest Lamp, the guard from Western Kentucky, is available,
yeah, he's pretty good.
that will be very enticing to the Dolphins.
This is not going to sit well with the people if they take
Guard?
an offensive guard.
I
in the
don't
first
know. I
round. They're
think
not gonna
the
like
Dolphins fans are savvy, and they're tired of the Billy Turners.
Don't
and
can't
who's
you
the other
find
guy they
somebody,
cut?
though?
I already forgot his name.
Dallas Thomas.
Dallas Thomas. So I am not comfortable with Jermon. I love Jermon Bushrod. He's such
As
a
a
good
guy, great guy. Yes.
But I think the Dolphins need to add a guard in the draft.
Adam
in the
Gase
first,
says that you
second
should
round.
be very comfortable with Jermon Bushrod because
Yeah.
Adam Gase says that was their second best lineman
Adam
last year.
Gase snapped, shall I say? Is that a fair adjective? he recoiled.
He didn't like it.
He recoiled at Jason Leisure's suggestion that Jermon Bushrod did not have a strong year last year.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Right.
Sorry I didn't rush to your defense.
Oh, I
didn't want
expect it.
Adam to be mad at both
Joe
of us.
was gone, man.
I have written on many occasions
You scooted back at the table.
that
I think, when
Jermon
happened.
Bushrod is a great guy, and I think he'll probably do a little better in his second year at the guard position, but they can't rely on him as a starter this year. So I would prefer to go with a guard in the second or third round.
Gosh, that's so early, man. For a team that has so many needs, that's so early to take a guard.
Prediction number 2, Dolphins will select a guard in the first 3 rounds.
You guys got to write these down because he forgets about them unless he's right.
This is a good column.
If he gets them right, then he likes to.
I'm calling that I'm doing this for next year. 5 predictions. Top 5
Why would you do it
predictions
for next year?
for
Do
the
it this
NFL
year.
draft.
Do it now.
Yeah, no, well, not today, but I'm going to do 5 predictions. I'm going to write it next week, the week of the draft. 5 predictions.
Why don't you guys, while we're talking about need positions for the Dolphins, why don't you send us in yours?
Predictions.
You can just write.
Predictions?
Well, I was going to say need positions,
Oh,
like what
needs,
their
okay.
top 3 are. I mean, you could send in predictions too, but
What do you think?
I can't get over the fact that they need a linebacker, Joe, because when you
What about Neville Hewitt?
what about him? I mean,
That's
he's
my guy.
unproven. He might end up being good, but he's unproven. So right now you've got Kiko Alonso is the one guy that's solid there. You bring in Lawrence Timmons, who is going into his 11th season.
But how about this?
They are hopeful that he'll be productive. And then that third spot's up for grabs. They need a linebacker.
On first and second down, the Miami Dolphins use only 2 linebackers. That means that about 2/3 of the time, the Dolphins can go with just Kiko and Lawrence Timmons. You don't have to run Mike Hall out there. You don't have to run Neville Hewitt out there. If they bring back Spencer Pasinger in a depth role. Somebody's asking about Jabril Peppers. It's interesting.
Well, that would have been my
That's
next choice.
fascinating. You like Jabril Peppers?
I do. If they couldn't
All right.
get someone like Jared Davis at
Okay.
outside linebacker, that's who I'd like to see him get.
So Jabril Peppers.
That's exactly the guy. Who brought that up? Because I agree with that
He's
guy.
a polarizing figure, the Michigan safety linebacker, because he really doesn't have a natural position. What is he? Where are you going to use him? You're going to use him as the third hybrid linebacker safety, right?
Right. He's possible linebacker guy.
Interesting. And obviously the owner of the Miami Dolphins, Stephen Ross, there's the possibility that Taco Charlton, the defensive end for Michigan, could be available. Also Jabril Peppers.
Stephen Ross told us a funny story a couple weeks ago in Phoenix that his phone went off in the middle of talking to us, and it was Hail to the Victors,
Yeah,
the
Hail
Michigan
to the
fight song.
Victors.
Obviously, Stephen Ross, the biggest donor in University of
Amazing
Michigan
blue.
history, loves Michigan. Said that he will be in there advocating for Michigan players, Joe, but he has already told them, Tannenbaum and Gase
Don't
and Gritz,
listen
they
to
don't
him.
have to listen to
Don't
him.
listen.
He doesn't actually want a say in it, but he is going to bother them and pester them about choosing Michigan
Of course, the
players.
if the Cowboys owner had been allowed to make the choices that he wanted, they would have had Johnny Manziel instead of Zach Martin.
true.
So that's
That's
why
true.
the owner has the right people in place. So
Stephen Ross doesn't strike me as meddlesome. He seems like he wants someone in here like Mike Tannenbaum
Yeah.
that can run the football side of things that he trusts, and he's not going to get in the way much of that. When we're talking about needs for them, right now I see a third linebacker spot that's undecided, we'll say. You think that's fair? Call it undecided?
yeah, I mean right
Who
now
would
it's
start
Neville
that?
Hewitt.
I think that other safety spot outside
So Nate
Rashad
Allen
Jones,
comes in.
I
Nate
think that's
Allen
also
comes
going to
in.
be up for grabs.
Nate Allen comes in. They also signed the dude from the Rams.
McDonald.
That's TJ McDonald. That's
He's
going to be.
suspended the first half of the season.
That's probably going to be in the starter in the second half of the year. Now you really
Who
have
knows?
decent depth. If TJ McDonald comes back, and Nate Allen and Michael Thomas is back.
Not only
They
are
have a young guy
safety
in
and
AJ
outside
Hendy and Jordan
linebacker
Lucas.
short-term concerns, though, those are also long-term concerns. Let's say Lawrence Timmons works out and he's good. Let's say Nate Allen works out and he's good. Both those guys are here on short deals. And Lawrence Timmons is, 33?
I just don't
So you
think
don't
that
know how much longer
safety
that's gonna
is a
go.
desperate positional need for the Dolphins at this time. I would make that a second tier need. I want to
It
ask
was
you this,
pretty bad
Jason.
last year when they didn't have the guys, man.
Jason Leisure. Today's news conference featured Dolphins Executive Vice President Mike Tannenbaum and
Yes.
General Manager Chris Greer.
Yes.
Notably not present was head coach Adam Gase.
Just because he doesn't have to be, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to
Go
answer
ahead,
all
go
these
ahead, go
questions. I think he was hosting some college kids. Interesting as they bring the players through the Dolphins facility here. My question to you is, who do you believe holds the most power in the Dolphins organization at this moment? You guys chime in here.
Out of those three?
Power. Is it Gase, Tannenbaum, or Greer?
I know you've been thinking a lot about this
Power.
because you wrote about this the other day. I'm going to say,
No, but power. Who's the
I'm going
power?
to say Gase. What do you say?
Interesting. I think that Gase is the guy.
I think that based on him having the most job security.
Gase has the most job security.
Yeah, what do you
in
think?
football. Yeah, certainly after 1 year. But we know how quickly things change. You can win NFL Coach of the Year 1 year, go 4-12, and all of a sudden you're on the hot seat entering your third season. I saw CBS Sports' Pete Prisco had Gase rated today as the 8th best coach in the NFL.
Hey, you had that on the Daily Dolphin blog, right?
That was what we call the aggregation.
Don't tell them all our secrets,
Our
man.
boss Adam was
Hey.
you take other people's work and get clicks off of it. That's all right.
Let me throw you a couple of trivia questions here, since you like trivia so much about. This is about the Dolphins in the draft. First off,
one Tannenbaum and one Gase, by the way. I think they're both powerful.
you're going to keep a tally of
Well, I
that?
think I think Tannenbaum is very close to the owner, but so is Gase.
Do you know?
They want you to believe they have equal power.
Do you know the only non-special teams position in which the Dolphins have not taken a player in the first round?
Ever?
There's only one position other than kicker and punter that they have not chosen in the first round.
Ever. Other than kicker and punter,
Mm-hmm.
I know they took Marino in the first round. Running back?
It's tight end.
Tight end.
They have never taken a tight end in the first round, and they probably won't this year either. But that's another
Jordan
position.
Cameron was a first rounder. I'm sure
But not
they've
theirs,
signed
but right.
first rounders.
But I think tight end is a spot they do need to address at some point in this draft, and I think there are several of them there. I wouldn't
You're not
do
a
it.
big Thomas Duarte fan?
I wouldn't do it in the first 3 rounds, but at some point they need a tight end because everybody after Julius Thomas is unproven, and Julius Thomas is kind of an unknown, don't you think?
I think Marquise Gray is okay as a second or third tight end. I'm reading your. I want to let you know you appreciate it. Thanks. Someone appreciates us. I think that's what it says.
That's not what it says. The other one is, do you know the position at which they've taken the most players, the unit at which they've drafted the most players?
Offensive line?
It's a little skewed because offensive line has 5 spots, but yeah, the Dolphins have drafted 112 offensive line players. After offensive line and defensive line, it's DBs, linebackers, running backs, receiver, tight end, and they've drafted 29 quarterbacks.
So we weren't at the. I'm going to get one of these draft hats and bring it back over here. They are really sweet. That I am looking at the
Where are you
new
seeing
era 2017 draft day cap. I'm going to go get it.
Okay.
While I go get this cap so I can show you guys,
Yeah.
this was featured on the Daily Dolphin, and it's really sweet. You can order it online, or you can come down here to the Miami Dolphins official team store on the campus of Nova Southeastern in Davie, Florida. They don't get a lot of visitors in April, but they'd love to sell you one of these draft caps. I'm going to go get it.
And you're going to help them, it
Yeah.
turns out.
What was the topic that you were interested in that you said you were going to write about for the newspaper?
Well, the Dolphins told us. Do you want to go get your hat?
Yeah,
while I
yeah,
do this?
but tell me
The Dolphins told us today that they're not going to lean defensively in the upcoming draft. And I just find that very hard to believe because not only is that the consensus opinion of pretty much everyone that they need help defensively, but the numbers bear it out. Their numbers defensively, especially against the run, were horrible last year, and there are so many defensive players available. I think they just don't want to. You couldn't wait for me to finish my point?
No, keep talking. I'm going to show
Keep
them this
talking.
incredibly sweet hat. How cool is that? It's like plastic, but it pushes in. The only thing I wish is that they had the 47.
It's like plastic, but it pushes in.
Do you guys like this hat?
That's
What
a
do you
good
think?
contribution, Joe.
The 47 brand is my favorite. This is New Era. I don't like the flat bill. Do you ever wear a hat with a flat bill?
No, I don't.
I don't get it.
I think that's cool, though. I think that's probably young and cool.
Do you
and
guys?
We're not young.
Do you
and cool.
guys like the flat bill caps? I don't get it. Anyway, so defense. The question is, what they went all offense last year. Don't they have to go all defense?
Well, they kind of
this year?
needed to go defense last year, and they didn't. And then it looks like they need to go defense this year. You're still doing the hat thing. huh?
What's your thought,
All
Jason?
right, I like the hat. Is that what you want me to?
That's what it would look like on
much
your head. That's what it would look like on your head.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think that the Dolphins? Let me ask you this: what's the percentage chance, in your opinion, that the Dolphins go defense in the first round?
95.
95.
I mean, I can't picture them taking an offensive player when they have so many needs defensively. What about you?
95%. Well, I'm going to say because of this Forrest Lamp character. If they go offense, I think it'll be for Forrest Lamp.
With everything they
Because
need
he
on
has a
defense,
great.
man, they would
something in
take
my
it.
foot. Go ahead.
Just getting that hat, you got hurt? Yeah.
I'm like
That's
Julius
exactly
Thomas.
why.
I got like 12 things wrong. with
Proof
me.
positive we're not young.
By the way, Julius Thomas reported for off-season conditioning. It's my understanding he was not in good condition last year, and in large part due to a back
we
injury.
do believe him to be healthy
a
this year,
hand
though.
injury. So, does it bother you that Ndamukong Suh does not come to these voluntary Do you guys are you guys annoyed by the fact that
say what you mean? You are annoyed. Why don't you just say it? Go ahead.
Are you guys bothered by the fact that Ndamukong Suh does not attend the voluntary conditioning with his teammates? This guy is all about Ben Boulware. You know what? Yeah.
Hernan Gonzalez.
Ben Boulware is kind of like a
linebacker from Clemson.
Yeah, he's like a Mike Hull. All right, he's going to be like a fourth to sixth rounder. So yeah, if you can get Ben Boulware in the 6th round, sure.
Don't get distracted. Give them your Ndamukong Suh take. Tell them if they don't know. Tell them what you want to tell them about Ndamukong Suh.
What
did Ndamukong Suh put on Instagram?
Snapchat. No, maybe on Instagram too, because they have the stories now. It's kind of like Snapchat. In fact, I read that the Instagram video surpassed the Snapchat. More people do the videos.
Instagram's more popular out of the two, I think.
So Wasim, one of our big viewers, says Suh is a pro.
Yeah.
So he's basically saying, not a big deal. Don't need to. See, my thing is,
Here's the counterpoint.
What is it? $20 million a year? Be a leader. Where are you? Jarvis Landry is here.
You didn't finish telling him what Ndamukong Suh did.
I saw he was at a concert. Someone else said he was at a pool. He works out on his own. It's voluntary. I don't know. Do you think that Adam Gase would like Ndamukong Suh to be here? I'll bet you he would.
I also think
Suh can do what he wants.
I also think that's probably Adam Gase's philosophy. Suh can do what he wants. Who wrote that in?
Media always, the fans always
That was William Sheeran.
Do you ever notice the fans always go against whatever the media says? It's like, especially if it's like anti-player.
Well, they always go
fans
against. They lean on the side of management and coaches.
You think so?
For sure, yeah.
But in this case, they're defending Suh.
Yeah, I know. Well, typically, though, it's the other way.
I don't get it. And I heard that Suh becomes very irritable when asked about his lack of attendance at voluntary camps.
So that'll be your first question, then, I assume, right?
Yeah. Team is a team. That is true.
That is true.
I literally have a cramp in my foot. It's killing me. What else?
You've been very distracted and distracting during this video.
I got a pain in my foot. Oh, Mike Tannenbaum opening trades. We told you that. A focus on having better selections in the mid to late rounds.
Right, and you look at some of their later round picks from last year: Carew, Duarte, Jakeem Grant, Brandon Doughty. Not any big producers out of there.
What do you think?
Kenyon Drake was the 3rd round pick.
What do you think is the percentage chance Jakeem Grant is their starting returner on opening?
That's an interesting point about the draft to me, Joe. Is if you were to take, let's say, for example, Jabril Peppers, who is also an accomplished return man. If they take a guy that can also be a quality return guy, I don't see where Jakeem Grant keeps his spot, because that's the only thing Jakeem Grant does right now. And you see no opening for him to get into the offense.
I saw on Twitter that Jakeem Grant has been catching punts from the Dolphins starting punter Matt Darr in Texas. Have you ever tried to catch a punt?
I have. I'm glad you asked that. Have you?
Never tried to catch a punt.
Extremely difficult.
I'm going to ask Coach Riz if I can do that.
Yeah, when I was in college, the punter for our team at Tulane was on our floor, and we went out there messing around, catching punts from it. It's incredibly difficult. It gets up there and it starts moving around so much. I had no idea how hard that was till I tried to do it.
It's about as hard as it was for Jose Reyes to catch that pop-up last night.
Extremely difficult. No, I didn't.
You're a professional. Catch the ball.
Let's get...
That's basically what the Dolphins said to Jakeem Grant. All right. Because first you go through these cycles. You defend the guy, you say he's still learning, he's young,
right?
And then at a certain point you go into tough love. You're like,
all
right, just catch it. Yeah, tough love. That's what I like about Gase. He varies his approach. Everybody wants to know about Richard Sherman.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of things about that.
You did write about Richard Sherman, and it got 9,000 reads. So good job by you.
I don't see that happening.
You shot down the idea of Richard Sherman. Why do you think? Because in my opinion, you're a guy who thinks anything could happen, this could happen, but you have an open mind that anything could happen, but you do not believe this will happen.
I don't think that it should happen. I don't think the Dolphins should do that. I don't think corner is enough of a priority that you would give up your 1st round pick just to get Richard Sherman as an upgrade over Byron Maxwell.
Oh, man.
I don't think he's that much better that you would give up a 1st round pick.
Oh, no.
What thing are you wincing about?
The fact that you said Richard Sherman isn't that much better than Byron Maxwell.
No. He is, but he's not give up your 1st round pick better.
Wow.
You don't sell off a 1st round pick for that.
Kent agrees. I don't think so either.
Okay, you're not listening.
No, I read your blog on the Daily Dolphin, because I do read your stories, and you made some salient points.
Thank you.
but I disagree with them.
Let's get right to
I
the.
think if you get a chance for Richard Sherman, you go for it.
Let's get right down to it. Very specific. You like predictions, so here you go. At number 22 in the first round, who do they take?
First choice, Derek Barnett, the Tennessee defensive end. Second choice, Taco Charlton, Michigan defensive end. Third choice, Hassan Reddick, linebacker defensive end, Temple. Fourth choice, Forrest Lamp.
He's going to be gone. Reddick's
guard.
Gonna be gone.
Well, I got a list here. Fourth choice, Forrest Lamp, guard, Western Kentucky. And fifth choice, Jordan Willis, defensive end, Kansas State. I believe strongly that one of those individuals will be wearing the aqua and orange. As you see here, this is an aqua and orange rubber ducky.
That's not. That's turquoise.
And
like pink. That's not orange.
Jason and I disagree with aqua. Is this aqua and orange, guys? This is an aqua and orange duck.
If I were the Dolphins and he's available,
what do you think about my top five?
I would take the outside linebacker Jared Davis from Florida. And if Davis is off the board, which he could be available right around then, he could go anywhere from like 20 to 30. If he's off the board, then I think I might go Peppers at that spot and try to get Zach Cunningham in the second round, the linebacker from Vanderbilt.
I don't mind the idea of getting a Zach Cunningham in the second round, or Jordan Willis if he slips.
From K-State.
Right? I think Jordan Willis in the second round would be an outstanding pick. Davis isn't a first-round pick.
That's from Loxley Francis writing in the Davis.
If
Davis is widely projected, Jared Davis from Florida, widely projected to go 20 to 30, somewhere in that range.
You always wonder if, the fact that Jelani Jenkins didn't work out is in the back of their minds. I know you try to separate that. You say, well, just because one Florida linebacker didn't work out doesn't mean that another wouldn't. But, sometimes...
Jared Davis had an ankle injury. We have a story on Jared Davis on our website right now, and we had it on our Facebook page if you guys want to find it. But Jared Davis had an ankle injury. He didn't do anything at the Combine. But he was just about healthy at that point, and he was healthy in time for Florida's Pro Day. And what he did in the drills there in terms of the 40, the vertical, the broad jump, things like blew away what the other linebackers did at the Combine.
I want to ask you guys, on a scale of 1 to 10, as we get close to wrapping up here, scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most confident, how confident are you in this particular group of Dolphins leadership?
That's a great question.
Tannenbaum and Greer, with the help from the scouting staff and input from Adam Gase, to make an outstanding draft class, particularly that first round, 1 to 10. What do you say?
I'd say 7. I'm pretty confident in their cohesion as a group, but when you look at last year's draft class, Mike Tannenbaum said today it's too early to really make a ruling on that class. But there were some guys there that don't look like they're going to be contributors.
10, 9, 6, 8, 10. A lot of confidence.
You're reading the comments. Yeah, what's yours?
9.
I thought 7. I thought 7 was fine. 7's not an insult.
I go 8. Now here's where we disagreed earlier in the press room, which is very cold, but they did give us a chocolate chip cookie, which we appreciate, Gail. Thank you. Where did they give us turkey sandwiches from? Panera, nice. Did you know that at a certain point Panera stopped serving the French onion soup?
I didn't know that. I know you love the French onion soup,
particularly
but I
in
was
the
not
bread
aware of
bowl.
that. Yeah.
I mean, the one thing that you would go to Panera for.
You guys write in
ridiculous.
if you like French onion soup.
They said that it was unhealthy. It had too much salt. They took it off the menu.
It probably is. They're doing you a favor.
You go to Panera.
No, I agree. It should be up to the
thing.
consumer.
It's the French onion soup.
That's not
ridiculous.
what people go there for. That's maybe what you went there for.
Soup and salad.
And sandwiches. Combo. Sandwiches, I would think of. Like paninis and stuff.
All right, there's a lot of confidence in this leadership group, and
well, you wanted to talk about an argument.
The reason,
between you and me, or between you and someone else.
It was a debate, and the debate was that you used the word failure in a headline about the 2016 NFL draft class for the Miami Dolphins. Explain.
I said that Mike Tannenbaum said it was not a failure.
Okay, yet.
He said it wasn't.
Okay.
He was asked how he evaluated last year's class, and what he said was, it's incomplete right now. You can't make a grade on that. I did change the headline to, he said it's too early to grade that class.
Oh, okay.
Good. At your suggestion.
All right. But
I wasn't trying to imply that it was a failure. I will say, though.
But we have a disagreement about, what was the other phrase you used?
Then it was mostly an empty first year for that draft class. Yeah, okay. Because there wasn't a lot of contribution outside of Laramie Tunsil.
Okay, so
Xavier Howard was hurt at half the year. Kenyon Drake didn't get a ton of touches.
Kenyon Drake led the Dolphins in yards per carry. Did you know that?
He didn't have that many carries.
And he had
like
a huge return for a touchdown to beat the Jets. I believe it was the Jets.
Heading up and down here, he had 30 carries, man. The yards per carry, you can't count that off 30 carries.
Kenyon Drake is Reggie Bush light.
What? That's your opinion, or you just read that?
No, that's my opinion.
Oh, okay.
It's not the opinion of Stacy Roberts. Thanks for watching. Wasim, you're one of our most loyal reviewers. We appreciate it. Stacy, thanks for saying that we're funny. I appreciate it. I think that's a compliment. But I think that that the Miami Dolphins 2016 draft class actually looks pretty good as of right now.
Really?
Yeah.
You think why? Other than
Here's
Tunsil?
why.
Obviously,
Tunsil is going to be a Hall
I know,
of
but
Famer.
past Tunsil. We agree on Tunsil. We're
First
on
of
the
all,
same page on
if
Tunsil.
you get a Hall of Fame left tackle,
you can't call him a Hall of Fame left.
he is a future Hall of Famer, in my opinion. Hall of Fame, write it down.
Okay.
If we're still alive in 20 years.
Yeah, what year will that be that we
If
need
we're
to...
still alive in 20 years. I think that Xavier Howard will be an above-average NFL starting corner for years
Okay.
to come. And I believe Kenyon Drake will be one of the most exciting pass-catching / return men in the NFL for years to come. So if that happens, you agree that it's a very good draft.
It's a good,
regardless
yeah,
of
that'd be a good
anything
draft.
else.
Yeah, that'd be a
Even
good
if
draft.
Jakeem Grant and Jordan Lucas, name more guys.
Me saying it was a fairly empty first year for that draft, to me, isn't
Okay.
that different than what Tannenbaum said. Just the first year.
Right.
I'm not saying that group is
Yeah.
all duds. The first year, they didn't get a ton out of those guys, other than Tunsil.
We can agree that the 2013 Miami Dolphins draft class was a dud.
That's the one that they're all gone now,
That
right?
was like a North Korean
Yeah.
test missile.
I think we have that on our blog from a few weeks ago.
Did you see
if you want to look through and see all the different guys and how they bombed out.
Did you get the joke? The North Korean
Yeah,
failed their test.
Yes.
Deion Jordan was like a North Korean missile. Good one. I agree.
People don't
Grant
know
is
that you're reading
fast.
the comments.
Oh, sorry.
Mark Ersling writes in the 2016 draft was a good one, so he agrees with you, Joe.
Thank you, Mark.
William Sheeran writes that Jakeem Grant is fast but has no hands or vision. And Wasim writes in that I believe about Tunsil, he's a Pro Bowl starter this year. Mark my words.
Pro Bowler.
There you go.
Yeah, he's a loyal
Tunsil,
viewer.
we're talking about Tunsil.
Yeah, he's a loyal viewer. We appreciate it. Well, listen, guys, we appreciate you joining us. If you want to purchase one of these new era
I'm doing the hat thing again.
official NFL draft
Does that
hats,
say
you want to know how much it
$50
is?
on the back?
This is
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to blow your
This is
surprise.
an expensive hat.
Oh my goodness.
This is a 7 and where's the price?
Right there, $50.
$50. But if you come down to the Miami Dolphins gift shop in Davie, Florida at Nova Southeastern today, I will give you this hat for $50. So, $50, special deal. It's a one-in-a-lifetime
Next time you're showing off
opportunity.
the hat, how about you black out your face instead of mine?
Sorry. The lady who works here at the gift shop has always been very sweet to us. She would love to have some company, so feel free to come down. There's going to be a draft party at the stadium
Yes.
next Thursday.
We'll be here in Davie,
night.
but
We will be
you
here in
guys
Davie.
can go to the stadium. There's going to be a big party there. They're going to be down on the field, I heard.
I think there's a high probability that we will have some Facebook Live opportunities during the NFL draft, which is in a week from now. So for Jason Leisure, this is Joe Schad. We appreciate you watching, and we'll see you down the road.